What's up, Inbound? How about OK Go? Oh my gosh, talk about inbound marketing. Those videos those guys do are fantastic. So when I was a kid, I so wanted to go to Antarctica. It was like the dream of mine. So I said to my wife, Yukari, let's go to Antarctica together. And she said, no way. And I'm like, why not? She goes, because I'm worried about getting sick, throwing up, going across the Drake Passage to Antarctica. So now I'm on a mission. I've got to convince my wife, Yukari, to go to Antarctica with me. So I do what we all do. I went to Google. I typed in Antarctica travel and took a look at the search results. And there were a lot of search results to choose from. So the first site that I visited was the most famous, National Geographic. But look at what they were doing. They were trying to sell to me before I was ready. They've got this big honkin' request a reservation button up there. I'm not ready to get a reservation. I'm just trying to figure out how my wife won't throw up and therefore she'll go to Antarctica with me. And then I found the site with the best search engine optimization. But what they did is they popped up this big old form before they would give me information. I'm like, I don't want to become your sales lead. I just want to see if I can get my wife to Antarctica with me. And then I found the low-cost provider. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to the bottom of the world, 2 days sail from the southernmost city in the world on the low-cost provider. No, thank you. So I clicked away from that one really quickly. And then I found the one with the best content, Quark Expeditions. And they were educating me. They were providing valuable information to me. I saw all these wonderful penguins we could see. And I said to Yukari, look at the cute little chin-strap penguin. Don't you want to go to Antarctica with me? And she's like, yeah, that penguin's pretty cute. I'd love to see that penguin. But no, I'm still not convinced. Now, this sales process has taken months. Typical long sales cycle, right? And finally, I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to get experience about what's going to happen here in Antarctica. The way buyers make their decisions have changed. And then I got agile, and I reached out to them, and I contacted them through this device. By the way, one of the most important marketing and sales tools ever invented. It's sitting in your pocket. Because Quark Expeditions then tweeted back to me when I tweeted to them to provide more information. I even communicated with the CEO of Quark Expeditions, Hans, through Twitter. And they're helping me to make this decision. Now, I didn't go with the most famous, the company with the best SEO or the low-cost provider. I went with the one that was helping me with content to make the decisions. They sent me to a blog post written by a doctor talking about how to protect against getting seasick. They sent me to their YouTube videos about crossing the Drake Passage. They were educating and informing me rather than interrupting and selling me. And then it turned into inbound sales. Because then what happened is I contacted one of their salespeople who they call a polar advisor, which I think is pretty clever. And then that polar advisor curated content for me, especially what I was interested in order to get to Antarctica. Quark Expeditions, not the cheapest. Quark Expeditions, not with the best search engine optimization, not the most famous. Quark Expeditions was the company with the best content and the one that was most engaged with me. And Quark Expeditions is a HubSpot customer, and they're in the room right now. So I closed the deal, $20,000, by the way, out of our pockets to get to Antarctica for this trip. And they made the sale. They made it happen. You can achieve similar results. If you're creating content, if you're engaged, you can achieve similar results. We had an awesome time. We hung out with the penguins. Yukari and I even camped in a penguin colony. How radical is that? We went kayaking in Antarctica. There's the proof that we were both there. There's Yukari and I in our kayak with icebergs behind us. Do you know what the greatest barrier to doing this kind of marketing and this kind of sales is? It's the four-letter word that begins with F. Fear. Fear is the biggest barrier. But we are now going through the most important communications revolution in human history. And as a result, we're able to communicate with people instantly. We're able to market through inbound marketing, through inbound sales. Here are some of the ways we can do it. There's a few of them. The first one, of course, inbound marketing. The second one, encouraging sharing, getting people to share your ideas. OK Go is fantastic at that. The idea of real-time instant engagement, like when I was communicating with Quark Expeditions, getting back to me right away. Inbound selling, the idea that you sell more when you stop selling. Instead of selling, you educate and you inform. The global marketplace. You can reach practically every other person on the planet. Your market is global. But one of the things I see that's most interesting to me right now, one of the biggest trends to think about, is how inbound marketing is meeting inbound sales. There's a convergence, this fantastic convergence. Which brings me to bicycles. I've been following a couple of bike companies for a number of years now. The first one that is doing such a fantastic job with inbound marketing is a company called Cervelo. They make these amazing racing bicycles. Another company, bike company, OPEN. OPEN is building the best mountain bikes in the world. And they're using inbound sales to accomplish their goals. Remarkably, both of these companies were founded by the same person, and his name is Gerard Vroomen.
Gerard Vroomen co-founded Cervelo in Canada in 1995 when he was just 24 years old. He grew the company quickly using inbound marketing, creating great content about his amazing bikes, including blogs, videos, and infographics. Riders on Cervelo bikes have won Ironman Triathlon Championships, the Tour de France, and at the Beijing Olympics, Cervelo's won a record 10 medals. In 2011, Gerard co-founded a new company, OPEN, based in Switzerland to create the best mountain bikes in the world. To quickly grow OPEN, Gerard reaches buyers with both inbound marketing and inbound sales.
A warm inbound welcome to Gerard Vroomen. That was quick. Gerard, you're supposed to be wearing a helmet.
Professional rider, closed course, but always wear a helmet.
Nice. How you doing? Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
So Gerard, you've built these several amazing companies built on inbound marketing and inbound sales, content creation. What would be your advice to other entrepreneurs about how to succeed like you have?
Well, I think, of course, this whole event is about content and about optimizing your content. And I think, of course, that's important. But I think what's also important is to be consistent. It's very easy to sort of get lost in how to attract a couple more customers. But when you make this constant content, it lives forever. So if you say something differently now than 8 years ago, that could be a problem. So first figure out what you're all about, and then create the content around that. And then, of course, optimize and everything. And I think the other point is to really put your personality into it.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that you have that sets you aside from the big faceless companies. When you're a small company, you can be a human. And in the end, people prefer to buy from humans rather than from faceless companies.
Nice. And another thing that's interesting to me is how much you put yourself out there. You're available on Twitter, you answer tweets, your email is published on your site, you're available on other social networks. How can a well-known CEO engage with the marketplace? How do you find the time?
I never understand that question. To me, is how can you not find the time? So these are people who come to you saying, I'm very interested in your product, in your company, in your services. How can you not answer them? Everybody spends so much time and money attracting people to a company, and then you phone the company and you're lost in some sort of a phone tree, or you email them and you never hear back. This happens all the time, especially with big companies. So, I mean, that's where you can make a difference. So make the time. And if you really grow bigger, make yourself a little bit harder to find, but answer everybody who manages to find you. Leave the rest to, the rest of your conglomerate that you have at that time. But the worst thing to do is not answer these people. Like, how can you do that when somebody wants to buy and you ignore them?
Awesome. Gerard, inbound marketer extraordinaire, inbound selling extraordinaire. Thanks very much for coming.
Thanks, David.
Gerard Vroomen. Remember that biggest barrier, which is the four-letter word that begins with F, fear? The challenge you have, and Gerard talked about this briefly, the fear of doing something different. I mean, you've got to put yourself out there, right? And I had to manage my fear as well. Back to Antarctica. What I so wanted to do when I was in Antarctica was to jump into the Southern Ocean, to actually leap off the ship into the water and swim with some icebergs. In swimming in Antarctica, and I said to the people on the ship, I really want to do this. And they're like, okay, we can do this for you, but here are the ground rules. We have to put a rope around your waist. A rope around my waist, what's that about? Well, in case your heart stops, we can reel you in, and then we're going to have the ship doctor waiting in case there's a problem. So I'm like, okay, I can sign up for that. So I put on my HubSpot beanie, and I took off my clothing except for my swimsuit. And I said, I'm going to go for it. I took a few deep breaths, and I jumped into the Southern Ocean. And I managed to get the HubSpot beanie logo facing out, which was a real trick. HubSpotting around the world. HubSpot now has officially been on all 7 continents as a result of this. Now, I thought as long as I'm going to jump into the Southern Ocean, I might as well do a cannonball. So I managed to get that done. And I figured as long as I'm in the Southern Ocean and hanging out, I might as well go for a swim. So I did a little bit of a swim, and yes, you can see icebergs in the background. Did myself a little swim, and yes, it was really freaking cold. But I did it. I managed my fear. Your job is to do the same thing. Your job is to stop making excuses. Your job is to manage your fear. My name is David Meerman Scott. Thanks very much, Inbound. Thank you very much.